Hello, I'm Chief Frank Bergen of the Hamilton Police Service. What an exciting opportunity to have a conversation about a difficult topic, and that's human trafficking. Human trafficking is something that I can tell you from generations of policing. I'm in my fourth decade. It was very different than what it might be today. It was not sophisticated. When I worked in downtown Toronto, we knew to go to the bus terminal. We knew to go to the fountain at the Eaton Centre because that's where runaways would go. The reality is today there's so much technology and so much grooming and expertise into making human trafficking really a tragedy for many young people. But the reality is an empowered person is a safe person, and let me explain that. When we talk about the role of police in the community, it's working with our community, and it's that partnership that makes us better. Be aware, understand what's going on. In many crime initiatives, we talk about if you see something, say something. That means if you're seeing a friend of yours, or if you're seeing a classmate suffering under some pressure or something they're not quite being able to handle, do something, reach out. Be that human that you are to make sure that you look after them. What I want to do is to make sure that we are a partner at the table. We may not have all the answers, but I want you to be comfortable, whether it's online reporting or just through a friend, making sure that we can be part of the solution. Together, stronger, safer.
She was 15 when she was first introduced to him, and she was standing at a bus stop and he just gave her his phone number, and then she had her own issues with her dad and his criminalization and his not being there, and she had all of those issues with her dad. And then she has me who's working my butt off to pay for my house and always busy because I'm a sole support, and so I remember when she's never really said this is what's happened to me. Never has she said that, but she'll just indirectly throw things out when I remember when she came back from the police station, and when she first disclosed and she said, "Mom, she said, you didn't do anything wrong. I just did really good at hiding it."
I have an MA in social justice and equity studies, and my research focused on the ways that pimps target, recruit, groom, and exploit Canadian girls and women in the sex trade and in trafficking. So the ways that pimps will do that is they will target vulnerabilities. They are very skilled at looking at a person and identifying what vulnerabilities they have, and then exploiting those vulnerabilities. And any young girl has a vulnerability to target and exploit, whether it's the need to feel like they belong somewhere, the desire to be loved, to feel accepted, to see the world, to see their dreams fulfilled. There's always something to exploit, sadly.
I got to see in my career different aspects of human trafficking. So in Vice and Drugs, I got to see the grooming part, the recruitment, the showering of gifts, feeding survivors, gifts, drugs, party drugs, and now all of a sudden this person's in debt. And it's oh shoot, how do I pay off this debt? Well, the human trafficker tells them this is what they have to do. They're coerced into it. Now they feel that, hey, I have to do this. And they go into fight or flight mode. Fight, flight, or freeze. So they're just in survival mode.
So after identifying the vulnerabilities, they will go through a process in which they try to isolate people. And isolation can happen in many different ways. There's the geographical isolation, where a pimp will actually take someone and not necessarily forcefully, not kidnapping, not like what we might see in some Hollywood glamorized movies of trafficking, but we'll say, hey, let's go away for the weekend to Niagara Falls or to Toronto or somewhere, and take them somewhere that they're not familiar with the location, with their surroundings. They don't have people that they know nearby.
The survivors are trafficked up and down the 401. They don't even know what city they're in because they're being fed drugs. Truth be told, anybody who's driven on the 401 has seen human trafficking in progress. And it's been so prevalent. It goes from Windsor all the way up to Montreal.
Another form of isolation is relational. So the pimp or the trafficker might start saying things like, oh, your parents don't really know you like I know you, or your friends don't really care for you like I care for you, and start planting those seeds of doubt and driving wedges between the victim and their support system. And he'll just create this sense of dependence on himself. So once you have that isolation, you've promised a great future, you've sold this dream, then he'll start indicating or suggesting that sleeping with a few guys a night or working in a strip club or some other form of sexual services, it could only be for a short period of time, and say like, oh, you only need to do this for a little bit until we get this much money, or until we're able to buy this car, or until we're able to, put a down payment on this house, and then she can do whatever she wants. But what she doesn't realize is that she's just being trapped long term.
What will it take to truly end human trafficking? How much money is it going to take? Funding for, survivors who are exiting situations of exploitation, or funding for police, or what is it truly going to take? This question used to give me a lot of anxiety because I knew the answer was so big and was unglamorous. It's not at all about rescue. You can't touch it, you can't feel it, it's intangible. But now I'm really honest with the answer. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I've always viewed, and Aura Freedom, our organization, we view human trafficking as a manifestation of inequity, as a human rights abuse, just like gender-based violence, other forms, that thrives in situations of unequal power and inequity. And so that means that we have to be okay with doing this work and knowing that we're probably all going to die and never see the eradication of human trafficking. But we'll know that the actions that we have, the ripple effects of our actions have contributed to the generational change needed. We say in the anti-trafficking sector or field, anyone can be trafficked. We hear this, and I have to say it's true. I have worked with affluent youth from affluent, families or communities or neighborhoods. But if we don't recognize that there are people who are targeted because they are facing systemic marginalization, then we're doing more harm than good. We are not actually engaging in anti-trafficking work. We're engaging in something that really doesn't exist. So to address the root causes is what it's going to take to end human trafficking. So being anti-racist is ending human trafficking. If you're working with someone, lifting them up and building them up as much as possible is preventing human trafficking. Making any marginalized youth or any youth who's feeling bad about themselves feel better is ending human trafficking. When you are seeing someone in your, let's say you are in, you work for a frontline organization and an organization that serves survivors or serves community members who are facing violence or are unhoused. If you're not addressing basic needs first, then you're not preventing human trafficking. I know there's a lot of pushback in some agencies on just basic things like transportation costs, warm Ubers to get from A to B, a gift card for a nice buggy full of food from the grocery store. That's preventing human trafficking as well. What I always try and remember is the analogy of the river from Desmond Tutu, who's an anti-apartheid activist, and he's passed on now. And he said, we need to stop pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. We need to address racism. We need to address colonialism. We need to address sexism and misogyny. And we need to address fear of the other. We need to address homophobia, and we need to address all of these things. And so when someone asks me what it's going to take to end human trafficking, that's the answer.
I do believe in education. I do believe in really prevention, right? Empowering, this young generation. Education, information is very important, and also for people to know it doesn't just happen to others, it can happen to me. And each time that we hear those situations happening, that can be like an awareness. I need to be careful, and also pass the word to other friends and family to know that this is an issue. It's a serious issue in our community, in our society, and worldwide. So this needs to be, as much as I will say, a very heavy topic to talk about, but we need to have that conversation. It's everybody's business. It's everybody's business, because that, like I said before, it can happen to anyone. And sometimes, even I will say as a counselor, it will be easier for me to talk to a client than to talk to a family members because of the fear and the feelings that I have. But it's important that we keep that non-judgmental attitude and speech anywhere we go, just to have the person know that I'm here for you. If you need to talk, I'm here for you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to support you. And that can be really an open door for that person to know that I can trust you without going maybe straight to the point, like, I don't like the way your boyfriend talk to you. If the person is not ready or not able to see that behavior from the boyfriend or girlfriend, it's not okay, you're going to shut them off. But just by offering, I'm here to support you, I'm not here to judge you, I'm here to listen, without the judging or pointing directly at the situation, it could be an opportunity for that person even just start venting. And that will give you maybe an opportunity now to share some information, to share resources, just even to be there to support the person, to know that you're not alone.
I was trafficked at the age of 15. I went through all the grooming stages where for 2 months I was on top of the world. I found friends. They saw me. They fulfilled every hole that I had, every insecurity. I went into school the next September thinking this is gonna be the best year of school of my life. I finally have friends. I fit in. I feel cool. I feel like I belong. I am confident. I haven't been confident in years. That's all been stolen from me. I'm this new person, and that's the hard point. We already, before our exploitation, we've lost ourselves. So who Michelle really was is no longer on the table for me then, because I'm this ultra ego of Michelle. I have this extreme confidence, which I always deserved, but it was fed to me to be taken away on purpose. So I've already lost myself before it even began. And furthermore, when the trafficker is getting in your brain and saying to you, hey, police aren't going to care about you. Hey, your parents are going to be disappointed. When they blackmail, when they threaten, when they have all this information on you that they're going to spew out there, you're scared to be ostracized from your peers. That was what it was for myself. I had given my traffickers my parents' debit card, but I had not taken the money out myself. The bank had individuals on camera with license plates. The police weren't informed at the time. They didn't know what human trafficking was. They wanted to charge me in that situation. The moment I left that police station, what my traffickers were telling me was true. I went for help and they didn't believe me. They treated me like a criminal, and then I couldn't get the proper help. Now we have police departments with human trafficking units that their sole purpose is to go and help fight human trafficking and help victims out. That's what preventative measures do. That's what education and training does. That's why the more we can spread the word to the youth, to adults, to men, women, and our children, that's how we're going to combat and eradicate this crime.
An empowered
person
is a safe
person.
person.